Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Canelo Alvarez received $15 million to whoop Rocky Fielding on Dazn. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I was on the Daily Mail, and they have an article referring to a possible Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Smith fight, which I will get into that, but that's going to be a separate video. But you'll see in the closing paragraphs of the article, they have a very interesting quote. And they're quoted as saying, Canelo Alvarez drew the first $15 million installment on his sports record of $365 million contract on Saturday by beating Fielding in what was clearly a mismatch, but in which he was mightily impressive nonetheless. The world is now Senor Canelo's enchilada with Wembley potentially included. And then, again, that's because they're talking about maybe making a fight with Caleb Smith. Now, you know, Daily Mail, they have a ton of sports news and stuff. It's a popular website in the UK. They're quoted as saying Canelo got $15 million to fight Rocky Fielding. You know, if this is in fact true, which, I mean, if he's getting $365 million, it sounds like it could be true. You know, the first fight, you didn't get, like, because if you, for the 10 fights, they said he was getting roughly 30 to 36.5 million. You know, you're basically getting almost 37 mil a fight. You know, simple mathematics, 365 million divided by, you know, the 10 fights, dispersed amongst the 10 fights, right? So that sounds like a reasonable figure in terms of if you're going to pay him for the rest of the 10 fights, 36.5 million, roughly, give or take, then 15 million. He got half of that for his first outing to cap off the year. Listen, after reading that, if this is 100% true, which definitely sounds feasible, and they're pulling this information from somewhere, then Dazn, like I've told you, has clearly overpaid Canelo. Now, I am not saying that as a hater, like I'm hating or mad that Canelo's getting his bread. He has been fighting as a pro since 15. He's actually stylistically one of my favorite fighters to watch, you know, because of what he does well, you know. But that doesn't change anything on my channel. It doesn't change me from giving honest, unbiased commentary. But, you know, $15 million for what we watch with Rocky Fielding is, like I've said, and this is what I warn people about, Dazn could overpay Canelo. Again, I'm not saying this from a perspective of I'm angry of Canelo. I'm just saying that they're giving him more money. They're like overvaluing, you know, with fights like that, because the article even says this was clearly a mismatch, which is what we all knew. Me, I didn't mind it so much. First of all, I didn't know Rocky Fielding was going to look that bad because, as you guys seen in all my previous videos, I said I hadn't really seen much of Rocky Fielding. And the tape that I had seen, it was he got knocked out in the first round, you know, by Caleb Smith, who now they're saying Canelo may face. So I hadn't really seen much, but I didn't expect him, you know, I knew he was tall and stuff. I didn't expect him to look that horrible, to be honest, when I was making the videos. But, you know, nonetheless, off of 2 tough Golovkin fights, this is who they chose. You know, he had a belt fighting Tyrone Zugi or somebody, and nobody really knows who the fuck that is either. And Canelo fought him, and he's being quoted as getting 15 million. Dazn, I'm telling you how business works. You guys can get angry or whatever. They're going to start requesting more from the Eddie Hearns and the Canelos because it wouldn't be profitable. You know, he's going to have to up the level of competition to make it profitable. Big events. Yeah, I get Madison Square Garden had 20,000 people, but just the day before, you know, before the fight, there's a accredited writer in boxing, and he said there were 4,000 to 5,000 tickets left. and then all of a sudden the day of the fight is sold out. You don't typically just sell 4,000 to 5,000 tickets, in 24 hours, unless people are waiting for them to drop in price and, getting last minute Groupon deals, or, there's different ways to get them, or they're getting comp the tickets, for the appearance. But behind the scenes, how much money you're generating in your event, and how much you're receiving. So for Canelo to get $15 million on an event like that, to me, Dazn has to be at this point in the red. And sometimes this happens for a new business. You're a new business, it's going to be a lot of finances that are put out, but you still have to be reasonable. You can't just have expenditures. You have to get like some kickbacks or some incentives. And, from what I've seen, a lot of people keep saying, even Jesse Vargas, he did an interview and he was like, yeah, Canelo, he's fighting on Dazn. You can't really complain because this is free, right? So if it's free to you, that means when Joshua fought Povetkin on Dazn, and, when Tony Bellew's fighting Usyk, you had not used your 30-day trial up, because Joshua fought in Povetkin in September. So if you did like me, and the first fight that was available on Dazn, you've already used up your free trial. It's a 30-day free trial, not 90-day free trial. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people whose trials had run out. And if your trial didn't run out, then that means you hadn't been, subscribed, or you hadn't been concurrently subscribed to Dazn for the past few months, and it was your first time. No, actually, there is no way. If Canelo was your first trial, then that means you hadn't been using the app previously to that, because you wouldn't just be into a pay form when they give you 30 days. I mean, who's going to say, hey, fuck that, I don't want 30 free days, I want to pay immediately, you know what I'm saying, for a brand new app. So yeah, if you watch the Canelo fight and you keep saying it's free, then you didn't watch the other fights, and if you did watch them, you didn't watch them on Dazn. You watched them some other kind of way. So that being said, that means a lot of people who keep running around saying, oh yeah, I'm not going to complain too much because Canelo looked good and the fight was free, then that means you weren't supporting Dazn and you didn't already blow through your 30-day trial, because 30 days would have already expired like it did for me, because again, I got it as soon as it dropped and Joshua fought Povetkin, because I didn't want to pay for that fight, so I just watched it for free. So my 30 days therefore was over. So, a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I used my 30 days on Canelo, which is cool. That means they saved it. They saved their 30-day free trial, or they maybe, if they're casuals, didn't know about Dazn prior to it, and then you heard it was a big fight with Canelo. Oh, how do I watch it? And then they signed up. So that to me doesn't really benefit Dazn unless they can, all the people who signed up for 30 days, they can keep them as customers. And so far from what I've seen, look at the immediately follow, because Canelo's not fighting again till May. Immediately following Canelo making some noise on the app, probably the most noise since the app has been out, but people use free trials. They're following up with losing a purse bid, or not, I don't even know if it's called a purse bid, but losing a bid to Showtime. So they're not airing Derek Chisora and Dillian White for Americans in the US, but they want Americans to pay for this $9.99 a month, right? The UK has to pay Sky Sports pay-per-view for Derek Chisora, Dillian White. Carl Frampton versus Josh Warrington, another UK fight. That's going to be on ESPN Plus, so you're going to have that to watch that particular fight. DAZN doesn't have either. It doesn't have Carl Frampton, Warrington, nor does it have Derek Chisora, Dillian White, coming across for the American audience. So once again, DAZN is forcing people to not use their app or not have a need for their app for the remainder of the year, unless you want to just watch, Canelo versus Mayweather and shit that's probably on YouTube and been on YouTube since Canelo fought Mayweather in 2013 or whatever it was, right? So that's the reality of it. And in January, their fight cards that I've seen are going to be Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, new WBO middleweight champion, defending against a guy that Billy Joe Saunders beat 3 years ago, Artur Akov. The undercard I heard is Gerald Miller, Big Baby Miller, versus Trevor Bryan. See, I almost forgot the guy's name off the top of my head. And then the other card that they're talking about for January is a fight with Golden Boy fight on Dazn. And it's Inoue, not the Inoue from the World Boxing Super Series in the lighter bantamweight division, super bantamweight division. It's another Inoue that I've never heard of, and he's going to fight against Jaime Munguia, who's an entertaining fighter, but again, nobody really knows the opponent. Jaime Munguia is a champion, so we know him, but who really knows his opponent? And they're competing with Keith Thurman's return, Jose Uzcategui, Caleb Plant on Fox, Thurman's return on Fox, and then a pay-per-view, Adrian Broner versus Manny Pacquiao with Marcus Brown and Badu Jack. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think, as far as the follow-through with Dazn, coming off of, I guess, the most noise that they've made with Canelo, I think it's a poor execution in their calendar, because all these people who are now signed to the app, you should want to follow up. It's just like a boxer, you know? If a boxer hits you with the first punch, then, you know, what's coming behind it? You know, you land a jab, what are you going to do next? You can't just throw one and then it's successful and then you just stop throwing punches. And that's kind of what Dazn is doing based on their scheduling. They made somewhat of noise with Canelo, even though it was a mismatch, and we all know, but it still, you know, had a good crowd. It was still a Canelo fight. Their card fell apart with the undercard with Virgil Ortiz and the LASIK surgery, and then also Toriano Johnson, David Lemieux getting canceled because David Lemieux couldn't make weight yet again. So, you know, the card kind of fell apart. But all these people are on 30-day free trials, and then what are you following up with to make them want to keep it? You didn't get Derek Chisora, Dillian White, too. You know, you didn't get Carl Frampton, Josh Warrington. So I don't even know if they have any new cards for the rest of December, you know? And I don't think that's a good look. You have to, you know, like the saying goes, strike while the iron's hot. And you have to ride the wave and the momentum. You know, whatever Canelo brought in, you should want to follow up with that. Like, damn, boom. You know, that's why you usually see if a good fight is lucrative, like Wilder Fury, maybe an immediate rematch, because they're riding the wave. They don't want to wait 3 years and then, you know, both fighters look different, you know, so you ride the wave and the momentum that the first fight carried, you know. So I don't think Dazn really is doing a good job with their rest of the year calendar or their January calendar. So I think they're going to have to step it up, especially if this article is accurate and they're paying $15 million for a mismatch, because you got to look at it. And this, again, I'm not saying this to hate. I'm just telling you guys business. You guys can be you can say whatever, but at the end of the day, a business can't survive if it doesn't make business sense. You could be a mogul, you could be a A&R. It don't matter how much money you have. If whatever you're invested in is toppling over and you're always in the red and you're not successful at it, most people will pull the plug on that endeavor, app, project, or, you know, production company or whatever, because it wouldn't even be feasible to keep it going. You're spending more money than it's returning for you. So, you know, that's why you have to have things that bring back a high margin where it's profitable. I mean, this is just basic business 101. And I know for a fact that if Canelo fought Rocky Fielding on pay-per-view, then he wouldn't have been able to generate probably $15 million. That's probably more than what he made fighting Floyd. You get what I'm saying? Because when he fought Floyd, look it up, he got $5 million guarantee. Now, again, I don't know exactly, because, you know, some of the details they don't really release, but his guarantee for Floyd was only $5 million, maybe $6 million. You know, look it up. I believe it was $5 million though, right? $5 million guarantee to fight Floyd, and then you got the rest of your money on the back end and Mexico distribution rights, things like that. So I don't know what it carried him to, because it was a very successful fight that did over $2 million. So when it was all said and done, I don't know how much money he had, but, you know, he made most of his money on the back end. So that's an easy lick for Canelo. He's doing great. $15 million to fight a guy that, you know, most people know he was going to whoop, which there were no surprises there, because that's exactly what happened. You know, Rocky Fielding got demolished. He got knocked down 4 times. He got knocked down more times than there were rounds, you know. So clearly he didn't need to be in there. So, you know, this is the early warning sign I'm trying to tell y'all. If Canelo got $15 million, like this report is saying, to fight Rocky Fielding, that's good for him. It's good for his bank account. but it's not good for DAZN because I don't think if this was on like HBO Boxing, this would be an L for them. If they put on a pay-per-view for Canelo Fielding and had to pay him out $15 million, let alone the undercard. You heard Joshua talking about the undercard and the lights and commentators and all that. You know, I don't see how that you're just dishing out and almost being wasteful with the money, because there's no way he's going to generate that type of salary with the Rocky Fielding on the pay-per-view. So like I said before, and I'll say it again, people keep saying pay-per-view's dead and they're doing Michael Buffer commercials and Eddie Hearns and all that, but at the end of the day, pay-per-view, it almost is a reality check. It keeps you honest. The reason it keeps you honest is if you put some bullshit on pay-per-view that shouldn't have been on pay-per-view, the numbers are really going to indicate. Like, you know, Terrence Crawford, love him to death, he fought Victor Postal. Wasn't a bad fight. It was actually a good fight at the time. But it wasn't a pay-per-view fight. And it was around, I forgot when it was, maybe during I went to the fight. I covered the fight as media, but maybe in the summer. And that just wasn't the ticket, and it only did 50,000 pay-per-views. You know, Golovkin and Lemieux didn't do that many pay-per-views. And it, you know, just real quick, since we're talking about numbers, Wilder Fury did 325,000. Neither guy had been on pay-per-view. And you got guys like Eddie Hearns who's saying the numbers are terrible. Yet Golovkin had 2 shots at pay-per-view, and he didn't do over 150,000 in 2 shots. You know, both of his pay-per-views with Lemieux and Jacobs combined did less than Wilder Fury. You know, and it wasn't until he hooked up with a megastar like Canelo where he was able to do a lot more pay-per-views. And we know why, because obviously Canelo has true star power, you know. Anyway, something to think about. But $15 million for a fight like that, Canelo's winning, DAZN took an L, you know. So I really feel it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to see that, and then they're going to have to demand events that are bringing more attention, getting a whole lot of subscribers, and, you know, just generating more revenue altogether. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.